Welcome to Home Farm. 10 months ago we planted garlic at the bottom of our field, and today's the big day that we get to harvest it. The field has changed a lot since that time. We've put in an orchard and our vegetable garden. Last year there was nothing here. This was all just wild meadow, and the only thing that we put in was the deck near the pond. This year we've put in the vegetable garden and the orchard on both sides of our pathway. We're now going to make our way down to where we planted the garlic, and it's worth noting that the previous owners seeded half the field with wild meadow, and when we get to the garlic area you'll see that it changes to wild brush. There doesn't appear to be any activity on the pond today. There was quite a lot of activity yesterday because we saw walkers stopping all the time. Could have been ducks, could have been moorhens, I'm not entirely sure, but it looks a lot quieter today. So this garlic was a complete experiment for us. We love garlic and we wanted to grow our own. So what I did is I went down to our local hardware store, I picked up some pallets and I converted them into raised beds. And the reason that we put them here is because we knew it was going to be a little bit messy. So we wanted to put it as far away from the house as possible so that we could just monitor it from a distance. We live here and it still surprises us just how much this field changes during the course of the year. Right now it is just overgrown and lush, and by the time the winter comes, everything just completely dies away and it's a completely different setting. This is Kirsten trying to get the right shot for this video, and it's just going to give you a really good idea of how overgrown and inaccessible this portion of the field is. Right, so it's time to get the garlic out. The other thing worth mentioning is that when you plant garlic in a setting like this, you don't have to worry about pests. You don't have to worry about things like rabbits going after them. They can just grow, and if it gets a little bit dry during the summer, a little bit of watering is about the only maintenance that they require. In case you're wondering, we've got 3 varieties of garlic growing. This is a variety called Thermidrome. Then we've got 2 rows of Germidore. That entire bed is a variety called Dario. And in this bed here, we've got the inverse happening, where that's Thermidrome and that's Germidore. Just as an interesting observation, the Thermidromes are all still standing erect, and the Germidores are all the ones that have collapsed. This is the first time that we've grown garlic, so it's the first time that I'm going to harvest it. It might be a bit overkill that I've got this rather large fork with me. So I know that you're not allowed to pierce the skin of the actual garlic. So the ground is quite hard, so we're just going to drive that in. Our first garlic head. That's so cool. So we have successfully pulled this garlic from the ground. The skin is intact, and the reason that that's important is because if it's pierced, it's not going to cure properly, and we want to cure these because we would like to keep these for at least 6 months. Curing is the process of preserving your garlic, so you basically let it dry. You can do that in one of 2 ways. You can just leave it on a pallet for a couple of weeks. When it then dries, you can cut it, or you can plait the leaves and hang them up so that they look really pretty. So we are probably going to try and plait a few and just see how that goes. As this is all new to us, we've just pulled out these 2 little guys here. We just don't know whether they just malformed or whether they just didn't get going or what the deal is, but he did try to do something. So if you know, please drop us a comment below. If you live in a cold climate, you should definitely consider growing garlic, because garlic is very much a cold winter veg. In fact, the colder it gets, the more the garlic loves it. So we plant ours in October because we get really cold winters here in the Welsh borders. And what that cold weather actually does is it allows all those individual cloves to form inside the garlic head. So the colder it gets, the better formed garlic heads that you will get. The other thing that's worth adding to that is that the growing cycle for garlic is also very long. This has taken 10 months to get to the point where it is, because despite it needing the cold winter at the beginning, it actually needs warm summers for the heads to swell. So the cold weather allows the little cloves to form, the warm weather allows the cloves to swell and form a nice big head. If you'd like to get more information about the specific garlic varieties that we've grown, we're going to add more information on our blog, and the URL is in the description below. It's quite interesting to see the different varieties already. The Thermidromes have all formed really nice heads, and they're all pretty much the same size. The Germidores, however, it's a real mixed bag. Some have come out really small, others bigger. A lot of the heads are actually quite malformed. So what we'll probably have to do is eat these first and look at curing the Thermidrome ones. So I said earlier that garlic doesn't have any pests. That is completely true. But the only thing that you do have to bear in mind is that it is an allium, which means it's part of the onion family, and you can't plant them in the same spot the following year, because if you do, they will be affected by potential diseases. So they have to be part of a gardening rotation. So I'm going to move on to the last bed. This is a variety called Dario. Based on the description, I think this is the one that we're going to potentially enjoy the most, because it's supposed to be a very, very strong garlic taste. We eat a lot of garlic. We cook every single night, so we utilize fresh garlic in most of our meals. One of the other reasons that we opted to plant the garlic in this field is that garlic is an alkaline loving vegetable, and the bulk of our soil at home farm is heavily alkaline. So if you're considering planting garlic in your garden, I'd strongly recommend that you do a soil test. You can get them quite easily online. They're not overly expensive, and at least it'll give you a good indication of whether the garlic will grow where you are. So we're all done. That was quite satisfying, and for first timers growing garlic, I think that we are both very pleased with what we've been able to harvest today. And I think it's only fitting that we should have our first home farm garlic awards. In third place, we have Germidore. We only got 1 or 2 good sized bulbs that had actually a good shape. For the most part, they were either really small, or they were malformed, or I don't even know what that is. The runner-up, drum roll please, goes to Dario. Even though this is the one that we might enjoy the most in terms of flavor, there was a little bit less consistency. For the most part, the heads were actually quite a good size. They were well formed and they looked quite good. But we did have a few smaller heads, and we also had a couple of malformed ones. So in terms of consistency, it was a good effort, but a worthy silver medalist, which means that the winner is Thermidrome. And the reason it's the winner is because just about every single head has got a great shape to it. They're all medium-sized heads. There are a couple that are a little bit smaller, but the consistency is the best thing about this particular garlic. So in terms of growing garlic in the future, I think we will definitely consider growing this variety again. Obviously, the taste is going to impact whether we do that, but I'm sure it'll taste just fine. So that's it. Gold medal winner, Thermidrome. We're going to now take the garlic back up to the house, where we're going to leave it in the garage to dry. we're going to let our garlic dry and cure in our open garage, which is very airy and it's quite dark in here. You don't want direct sunlight going onto your garlic, because if it does, it's going to start cooking the garlic and that will affect its curing process. For me, the biggest takeaway has been that we have successfully been able to grow and harvest garlic. We'll definitely be growing Thermidrome at home farm next year, and we're also going to have a look at other varieties that we can grow. If you've grown garlic, please leave us a comment below and let us know what your favorites have been and why. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button below and ring the bell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.